Oops. It's Monday, 10th of Feb. This evening's show, we go over Saturday's last gasp equaliser at Burton, thanks to a sublime diving header from Albie Morgan to extend our unbeaten run to 8 games. This unfortunately leaves 8 points off the last playoff spot, however. So we'll be looking at our hopes and dreams there. We'll also look ahead to tomorrow's rearranged match under lights at home to Rotherham at Bloomfield Road. I'm John Aspinall, and this is Seaside's podcast match reaction show. Burton 1, Blackpool 1. Tradition. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, Blackpool fans, to the Seaside's podcast on a Monday evening. Burton 1, Blackpool 1 reaction show. It wouldn't be a Seaside's podcast without a frantic button pressing and mics not working in the green room. Tim was not the culprit. Raggy, not been on for a while, got it working first time. But Nick, unfortunately, given the two-fingered salute there, was having issues, but he's on his phone, so apologies for the audio.
Well,
better than nothing.
Tom, because I was on at 20-8, as I always am. The setup hasn't been touched since the last show, and so how it goes from working perfectly, the microphone hasn't even moved, and yeah, I think I'm starting to think that it's something to do with your software rather than our microphones.
Yeah, obviously.
Here.
Anyway,
Tim, yeah, I've noticed you've combed your hair before you came on. It was looking very ambulance chaser-esque in the green room.
So, yeah, no, just flying it down a bit. It was looking a bit. There's a bit of a coiffure on top, wasn't there? So I'm just.
Yeah, and joining us on the panel is also Mr. David Ragazzino. Raggy, just unmute before you come on. As Gricey has said in the chat there, return of the sober Ragmeister. Now, Raggy was giving it the big un on Saturday at Burton. My first question is, Raggy, how much Raggy aid was consumed? And B, were you at the Burton game or just getting merrier and merrier at the Arndale?
No, I was watching it at home sober. I think that was the big problem. I've long claimed that you have to have a drink to watch that.
Yeah, so Nick's on a bloody only 1 hour podcast. If we are lucky, what have you got to say to that, Nick?
Well, yeah, we should be able to, because let's be honest, there wasn't many highlights in that Burton game. So if we go over an hour tonight, something's wrong. It should really be 45 minutes, because we could skip quite a lot of that first half from a Blackpool point of view, to be honest. But we'll cover it off nonetheless.
We'll try and irk something out of it, shall we? Otherwise, if not, Raggy's here anyway, so we can just pull the cord and let him unwind for a good 20 minutes. Are you up for that, Raggy?
No, everything's all right. Club's buzzing.
Right, let's kick off, as we always do, with the starting 11. Let's get that graphic up, moves over. How tiring net. Usual back four, Husband, Baggett, Bagott, Casey, Fire, Hamilton, Carey, Morgan, Apter, Carey, up front, Ennis and Fletcher. Tim, come to you first. Surprised that Evans wasn't picked for this?
A little bit, but I think you come back to, if Carey's doing reasonably well with the shirt, then you stick with him, don't you? And I think Steve Bruce is obviously. I think if you've got the shirt and you're doing your job for the team, which I think, to be fair, Carey has been doing the last couple of games, then it'd be slightly unfair to give him the old Gong Show hook, wouldn't it? So for those of a certain vintage, you remember the Gong Show. But yeah, I wasn't surprised to see Carey, really. I think that was about right. Obviously, the bigger issue was further up the field, wasn't it? So. It was back four. You're not going to change that at the moment. I think the interesting conundrum would have been whether Hamilton or Apter might have been rested if Bloxham had been fixed. I think that was a distinct possibility.
Raggy, let's talk about the rumours that were flying around message boards and numerous, no doubt, WhatsApp groups about Tom Bloxon's injury and how it was sustained and how long it was for. I don't know if you were privy to that at all. Nonsense is one of your favourite words, isn't it?
Absolute nonsense. Moving house. Pulled the calf. Pulled the calf, moving house. Nonsense. Footballers don't move their own houses nowadays. Even at this level. It was obvious it was nonsense.
Just to share a bit of info with yourselves and everyone on this stream, I actually texted Tom's agent and I explained the rumours that had been flying around the Blackpool fan community. So he asked Tom himself and he said he was pissing himself when he found out what people were saying. So I think that puts it to bed. He was just laughing, Nick, at the thought of him injuring himself moving furniture. But some people were saying it as fact, weren't they? Was it Gricey, in fact?
No, it was Joe. Joe Atherton was the source for the rumour.
Oh, don't let Gricey off the hook, though. He was definitely at it. His source, my source, he said. My source tells me.
Yeah, and like you say, absolute nonsense. And all it was, he felt his calf in training, which is a perfectly normal thing to happen to a footballer. But a shame for us, because when I saw the team, that was my main concern, that he's been so good for us in the short space of time he's been with us. You just wondered, how much we would miss him. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. I think we said at half time we'd perhaps introduce Evans, but like Tim said, to be fair to Carey at the moment, he probably has done enough to have kept the shirt as most of the rest of them had done. So it wasn't a surprise to see him being kept in.
Ennis natural replacement up front, I guess. So it's probably a good job we got him. Another little interesting fact just before we kick off. Does anyone know who our top scorer is now? 10 points.
It's got to be Fletcher, hasn't it?
CJ
Hamilton.
Go on, CJ.
Anyone in the stream, who is Blackpool's top scorer? First one to answer gets a free raggy aid down at the Arndale.
It's got to be Fletcher, hasn't it? Surely.
Mark, yep. Ash Fletcher, top scorer. I think it's with 5. So there you go.
5.
Who'd have thought, eh?
Going up. Playoff charge.
Oh, God. But a few more things just to point out before we do start. Blackpool are now one of only 2 unbeaten teams in 2025, which is pretty good. Not to be sniffed at.
Who's the other?
Burnley and Wimbledon, I think, isn't it?
Right, on to the first half then. Tim, let's start with you. I guess you watched it with your feet up and your cast up, or is the cast off?
Cast still on, unfortunately. About another 3 weeks of it. It's painful. No more
football for you, Tim, until that's off, I guess.
No, I think I'll be having a little bit of physio after that as well, I suspect.
So I went. I was in the stadium, and I have to say it was a breath of fresh air being in Burton Stadium. The setup was nice, never been before. Great to have terracing. I think it was terracing on 3 sides of the ground. Eddie was loving it. The fact because he's never been on an actual proper terrace before, and he was going, "Oh, this is great. You can go and stand wherever you want." He was inspecting little different areas, leaning on crushed barriers. It was good. It was a good little setup there. Decent grub as well. I did do a Smith. I'll come to that in a minute. Right. So Tim, not a lot happened really in the first 20 minutes before they scored.
No, I don't recall much. I mean, it was a bit of a dreary game. And thankfully, I had my granddaughter around, so I was singing Blackpool songs at her while I was bored in the first 15, 20 minutes. So just getting her into the groove, as you do. So that was. I can't remember much. I thought they started quite well. I always knew Bowyer was going to be well prepped to have a go at us, and he's got them playing a bit, hasn't he? To be fair, but just a bit disappointing. I think I was a bit a bit disappointed that Bloxham wasn't playing, and I just didn't really feel that we came out of the blocks in the way that we perhaps needed to for this game, because those with the glass half full who think we can still make the playoffs. So I'm not one of them, I hasten to add, but those who, we're running out of games to even give ourselves a fighting chance of doing it, aren't we? And the best will in the world to Burton. If we're going to do it, we need to win games like that, and we just didn't seem to quite have the fizz that we've had in recent away games.
Nick, the goal itself, ball over the top. Was it Bega who was out jumped by a midget, flick on, and there was a lot of people. Was it Bega? Yeah, it's very strange to see him beaten in those kind of circumstances. And I thought with Tyra, it was at the ground. A lot of people were giving him stick for coming off his line too late. There's almost an argument for him not to come off his line at all, because it was an angle and the defence were getting back. So, what were your thoughts on that? And did he go to ground too early as well?
Possibly, yeah. I think there was a split. Bob Varson won the ball, didn't he? And to be fair, he caused us some problems, throughout the game. I think he's been quite a decent signing for them. And there was that split second where the lad's gone through and he took a little bit of a heavy touch. And in that moment, I think that's when if Tyra was going to come out, he needed to fully commit to it. And once that split second's gone, you've missed it. And then it's kind of like, what does he do? And it ended up just sort of coming out a little bit and gave him the opportunity to dink it over. And it was, like it says in the comments there, it was a decent finish. But I still think from a Blackpool point of view, defensively, it was pretty poor. It was just a ball from the keeper, wasn't it? Kind of long ball up, wins the flick on, and the guy's through, and the ball's in the back of the net. So considering, how sort of decent we've done from a defensive point of view recently, it was a disappointing goal to concede, to say the least. And I thought kind of that, like Tim said, that Bowie's going to have them well drilled and he'll have done his homework on us. And I thought that the extra man in midfield for them was making a little bit of a difference, and we just didn't really get to grips to it in that first half.
Do I remember rightly as well that Casey was encouraging Tyler to come off his line, where I think Tyler was a little bit undecided. But I'm sure.
Well,
that's
because Casey was that slow that he couldn't get there.
Yeah, but he was.
No pace Casey.
He was almost telling Tyra to come. So I think Tyra ended up coming, and then obviously, to be fair, again, as others have said, it's a good finish at the end. But I think if he had stayed in his line, I suspect it would have been a far more difficult goal to score. I suspect.
Well, Baggett can't be getting out jumped, can he? That's ridiculous anyway. So he set it off, but Casey showed no pace to get back, and then it's harsh to blame the goalkeeper. Yeah. He's targeted a little bit at the minute. He's not the best goalkeeper in the world, I don't think, but I don't think that was his fault.
No, I agree.
He did make amends. Well, you say possibly not his fault. He did make amends not long after that with a good save down by his left-hand side. But the other contentious issue in the half was one, unfortunately, I did a Smith was the penalty shout. I saw Simon Muggleton on our group tucking into a pie with his dad and his friend, and I thought, bloody hell, they look good. So I went down and got one, and there was like one of those roars that you hear, like, is that a goal roar or is it a sending off roar? It's like something's happened roar. And I got back to my position on the terrace, and there was a huge group of people bemoaning the non-penalty. What happened?
Yeah, it kind of it was with Fletch, wasn't it? And he did put his hands on him more than once, but I've seen them given, but also I've seen them not given. It's one nowadays where if it goes to a VAR, they probably give it. But my first thought was, he's and it's another one where probably anywhere else on the pitch, the ref just gives a free kick for the foul, but for some reason the area, he wanted it to be maybe a little bit more contact. So it would have probably been a little bit soft, but you'd have taken it. And there was certainly contact. And the Burton commentator sort of said, I think we've got away with one a bit there. He did kind of, once he turned him, he did put his hands on him, and and Fletch went down, which as a striker, you will do. So I wouldn't have been surprised if it was given, but at the same time, it wasn't kind of like, I don't know, an absolute stonewaller.
Did you think the second angle made it look less like a penalty than the first angle? I thought.
Yeah. At first, I thought, well, that's a penny. He's sort of pulled him back, but yeah, it was. I think it's 50-50. Half the refs would give it, the other half won't.
Apart from that, we didn't really do much. A bit of half chance from Ennis, dragged wide, but it was a lacklustre first half from Blackpool, to say the least. And we can't be putting in performances like that. We more or less gave up a half of a game of football when we really need to be putting points on the board. And
we do it every game, John. It's very rare that we play a whole game well. I mean, we generally have one good half, don't we? And hopefully, in the one good half, we score a few goals. I'm particularly talking about away performances here, where so you go to Exeter, we had a great first half, poor second, and I think there's a bit of a pattern there. But I was actually remember saying at half time, because as with Sam's partner brought my granddaughter around. She's a big Blackpool fan, goes every game. I've said to her, well, we've had our crap half. Hopefully, we'll come out and do a bit the second half. So I was still quite confident because I felt that we had one half of football in us.
Did you share that confidence, Raggy?
No, not at all. We set off like a Sunday League team on Saturday.
Yeah, we did.
It pissed me off instantly, I must admit. For the fact that if we think we're going to go for the playoffs, exactly what you're saying, you can't do that. Whereas bizarrely, was it Exit? No, Lincoln, wasn't it? When what happened after about 20 seconds? Sonny Carey had a shot straight at him, showed purpose that night, intent to go there and win. I don't think we showed any intent to set that game off by winning, or with the view to winning. Wasted first half, like you say. And listen, I'm an advocate for having your best players on the pitch, as you know. So why Evans wasn't on the pitch if he's fit to start with, I don't know. Well, I know Carey might be done all right, but he's just all right. Evans is quality to be on the pitch if fit, especially if we're losing big players like Bloxham as well.
Wasn't CJ's aerial thunderbolt in the first half, or am I getting mixed? The whole of the terrace was laughing. I think it was first half, Mark. Pretty sure it was the first half.
It was the first half.
I was saying to people around me, he CJ'd it.
It was the old Avit job, wasn't
it? It was, yeah.
Avit was back. What was he called? That centre half? Can't remember his name now.
Plays for Derby now, doesn't he? What's his name? Oh, he had a solicitor's firm, didn't he?
Yeah.
CJ Abbott and the big fella, something like that.
CJ, yeah.
CJ shot his travel. He absolutely was. Yeah, CJ was shuttlecock, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Avitt was Avitt, so that doesn't give his name away. Anyway,
I'm gonna have to find that game. That was 2-2 at home against Huddersfield. That game, I'm gonna have to find it because that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen on a pitch. Try to defend that. Anyway,
Curtis Nelson, that was it.
That's him. Who's got it in? Yeah, good lad.
That's the boy. It. Right, so enough said about that first half. The better then, apart from it was poor. We should have gone out that game with more intent, particularly with what's at stake. Burton had won, 4 or 5 games before the game, and they were there for the taking, to be honest. Right, not as bad as everyone thought they'd be. To be honest, they've been well set up by Gary Bowyer, but I think we should have gone there with more intent in the first half and try and put the pressure on. So the second half, gentlemen, was it any different? First 10, 15 minutes?
No, it was a bit more of the same, wasn't it, really? And, you know, I always wonder when... I mean, I do think you've got to give Burton some credit. I think the extra man in midfield just made a massive difference, and they didn't give us really any space out wide. So for CJ and Apter, and once that happens in a 4-4-2, and this is where, you know, there is one criticism. You know, when a 4-4-2 isn't working, we maybe need to try and do something a bit differently, but we don't really seem to, or certainly not too soon anyway. And for me, I'd have made a couple of changes at half time. I'd have perhaps bought Evans and Silvera on at half time just to try and do something a little bit different, because you kind of wait for 15 or 20 minutes of the second half, and it's you're wasting time then for 15 minutes because nothing's going to change all of a sudden when it's not worked in the first, in the first 45 or so. And it wasn't really until, we looked to make some subs that we started to look like we could at least try and get, a couple of balls into the box at least. So I think, Steve Bruce has done brilliantly. And you look at our away form and it's as good as anyone in the division. But I think on Saturday, it just felt a little bit like we'd maybe not quite got it right. And it took us an hour or so to decide to do something about it. I may be being hypercritical there, but it just looked like it wasn't, first 15 minutes.
I agree, Nick. I agree with everything you're saying there. It was clear things needed to change at half time. They were overrunning us midfield. Something had to change, and the subs were too overdue. Tim, do you agree with that? 67 minutes was the first one, almost Critchley-esque.
Silvera, it was. You could see that clock ticking down, and it seemed to get faster and faster as the half went on. And I was thinking, Jesus, because I was actually, as I said, going back, I was quite confident at half time that we'd come back in and we could still win the game. But time went on and nothing was happening, and it's quite unlike Bruce, really, isn't it? He normally, if it's not happening, I just thought even if he wasn't going to do it at half time, he might have done something around the 55-minute mark and given us a bit of a better, more of a chance, really, because we weren't creating anything. There's nothing. We've gone all through the first half, and bar Ennis pushing that one wide in the first half, I can't really. And I think Fletcher had a header that went wide, didn't he? But other than those two not even half chances, I can't remember anything. And that's not been like us in the last few games. I think one thing we have been doing is creating chances. And if it isn't happening, then mix it up. And but when you leave yourself just over 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you're up against it, aren't you?
Raggy, we've basically, as Tim just said there, alluded to, we've been given 23 minutes to win the game of football. You could even say 13 minutes, because that's when Evans came on with Coulson, Beasley, replacing Fletcher, and Apter. Well, so they were too late, but we did create. So I'm just trying to rack my brain. So for me, we had CJ's header that went wide. We had that whip cross that came in that three people didn't put a finish to. And we had another chance. And I can't remember when these were. It all became a blur to me. So were these all after the subs? I can't remember.
Yeah, because it was Coulson who put the ball across, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Coulson, yeah. I can't remember. Did it say, what's the stats say? I did look before. It said something like 16 shots to one eye, but that doesn't say that. That says 7 shots.
This the
it said
second
16
half.
Shots to one I saw with the 6 blocked.
Second half, this.
Oh, that's just second half stats, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right with the total.
Yeah. But I can't remember. 16 shots doesn't seem like I watched that.
Well, CJ's was probably classed as a shot.
Well, it will be.
That'll be classed as a shot, I bet you.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we were by far the better team, weren't we, on in that game, without a doubt. But if we were going to get, like Nick said before, we're getting overrun in the midfield. Well, then we're going to play like that, where they've got more in the midfield. We need our better midfielder on, don't we? In Evans. We seem to be camped mostly in their half for the last quarter of an hour. It did feel like a goal was coming, even though you convince yourself it's not. But yeah, wasted 3/4 of the game. I think that's the general consensus.
Yeah, hard to argue. Were the subs too late, Tim? You think?
Well, I think it goes back to the point I made before. I think you could see, at half time, and most certainly 10, 15. No, I think 15 push it to 10 minutes in the second half. That it was the same. There wasn't anything changing. So I think we have left it a little late, and and we actually did show some purpose in that last 15, 20 minutes. And I mean, I think we're all pulling our hair out when Coulson puts that cross across, because there's about, like you said, there's about 3 who could have had a go at that. And I think Ennis also he sort of stabbed at that shot, didn't he? That was going on towards the left hand. I thought he was going to get that, and that was going to hit the back of the net. So you do really think that the game's over, and well, it's even with the draw, it's not great. But I just didn't think a goal was coming. Despite all the pressure, I just thought it was one of those games where whatever we did, however we played, we could have played till midnight and not score. That was the way I was feeling towards the end. Even though, to be fair, we were putting the endeavour was there in that last 15, 20 minutes. And of course, Burton and naturally probably sit back a little bit as well, don't they? Thinking they can hold on for the points. So there's always a bit of that dynamic going on.
So, Nick, the chances came and went for Blackpool, and we all thought it was going to be one of those games. But up popped Albie Morgan with an out of this world flying diving header. Me and Mitch always joke about you never see diving headers in football anymore. Albie's obviously listened to this show and thought, right, I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, what a goal it was. It was Silveria, wasn't it, who's whipped the crossing in. It was just the way he kind of gets in front of the defender to to make contact with it. And it wasn't until I saw the replay I realised just how good a header it was. Gave the keeper absolutely no chance right into the corner. And yeah, and I think, like Tim said, there was a bit of endeavour in that last 20 minutes, but I'd convince myself it was just going to be a frustrating afternoon where it wasn't quite going to come off, and they looked like potentially they could go up and maybe even get a second on the break at times. So I suppose you take it, don't you? If you don't play well and still don't get beat, it's not a bad thing, and our away form, is very good. It's at home now where we need to try and turn it around if we're going to have any chance at all, and it's a big if and a big ask. But yeah, you take it, don't you? And it like you say, don't often see great headers. You can probably talk on one hand in terms of over the years watching Blackpool players. Dave Bamber was obviously great in there, wasn't he? And there was Richard Walker's 95th minute one against Plymouth at home. But yeah, he did really, really well and used the pace of the ball to beat the keeper. Very, very good goal.
Just to add to that as well, when you do watch the replay, you realise how much commitment Morgan put in to actually get where he was. I mean, as the move starts, he's in the right back slot, and it's the 93rd minute of the game, and he sprints the full length of the pitch, and then to create some space for himself, comes inside. Incredible commitment, because a lot of players would have thought, well, the ball's got the other end, I'll grab a breather, won't they? And he went off at a real pace. So every credit to the lad, because he's done that and then finished it with one of the best headers that most of us can recall seeing in recent years, at least, anyway.
Obviously, he's got his health issues as well. So people,
I don't think he's got any health issues. So the way he ran it.
Yeah, so it's not a trifling matter, is it? And he's Albie Morgan. He can set a big example to the rest of the squad there with that goal and just that desire to get there. So we've come away happy at the end of the game, but that's a game we should have been winning. We are now 8 points off the playoffs. Is the season done?
Well, it is for me. We've got 8 points off the playoffs. I've just looked before. So last 10 years, average 74 points to get the playoffs. It has ranged from 69 to 80, but on average 74. So that's 35 points needed out of 51.
With our home form.
That's not happening, is it?
On average. Well, I wouldn't have thought so. Not when you draw at Burton. and then people do convince themselves that it's a good result because it's a last-minute equaliser. It's not a good result. It's rubbish. And well, it's never over till it's over, but
Well, we've got
I'm
39
not,
after 29 games, haven't we? So the chances of getting 35 from 17.
Well, we'd have to go on some mental run, but considering we've got a top scorer on 5 and we can't win at home, where most of our games are now, then
it doesn't bode well, does it?
I suppose let's try and remain unbeaten for the rest of the season and go into next season.
But then we'll lose 5 of our and then we'll lose 5 of our players, or best players.
Well, we'll sell one. We'll sell one to complete the East Stand, won't we? I'm sure, at some point. Well, anyway, no, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. Of course, I want to, and if you want last gasp things, we've got to go and win these 3 home games, which will certainly turn it all around, won't it? But what's the chances of that?
I think it's a big ask, isn't it? When you look at the home form so far this season, it's going to be a very big turnaround. I think Bloxham being out, I mean, they've said a couple of weeks. Hopefully it is just a couple of weeks and not 4 or 5, which sometimes seems to happen with our injuries. It's never seems to be a week or 2, does it? So you never know. There's always one team that goes on a mad run, but I think we'll miss not signing a central midfielder in that last week of the window. I think if we'd have gone and got somebody who could get us, 5 or 6 goals from midfield, then that might be the difference. So I think I think we'll finish probably 10th, maybe. I think it's a big ask because you probably get to a point where you're going to be relying on, teams above us to start having a bit of a poor run as well, somebody to drop away. So you never know. And like I say, we've got all these home games now, but that's not where, unfortunately, normally you'd be saying great. We've got plenty of home games left because that's where you pick up most of your points. But unfortunately, although we've had some good performances, what is it now? 5? Is it 5 in a row drawn at home or something? I think.
I think, isn't it?
1-2. Yeah. We've won 2, drawn 8, lost 2.
It's pretty crazy, really, when you look how good the away form is, and it's just obviously the way as a team we're better away from home because of the setup, and we can break with pace. And I think at home sometimes, unless teams come out and push forward, we don't necessarily get to do that at home the way we do away. So I think that might be a factor as well, particularly as you get towards the business end of the season and there's teams coming who, are desperate for the points to stay up and might be happy to come and sit with 10 behind the ball. When you're playing that 4-4-2, if you don't get the space to get in behind and down the wings, then it can be difficult. So, I'm always normally the optimistic one, but I think it's going to take some doing.
Okay, let's do play ratings for the Burton game before we move on to the next segment. So let's start with you, Tim, with Harry Tyra.
Didn't have a huge amount to do. He had that save that you mentioned, John, didn't he, where he went down to his left, which was all right. Arguably could have done a bit better on the goal. 6.
Dave, Adele, fire.
Well, he always for me 7.
Nick, Ollie Casey.
Yeah, but like I said before, I think he'll be disappointed with the goal. I think across the pitch, really, I don't think anybody particularly stood out as having, an outstanding game. I know we've got the point in the end, but we've got to be realistic about it. I think 6.
So Melkin Bagot there has got an 8 on FOTMob. Got to knock a point off for losing that header to a player slight of stature.
Yeah, he was nowhere. He wasn't actually challenging for it, was he? Because he was so far away from him. So it is disappointing. I mean, I don't think Burton put him and Casey under that much pressure, and we expect a little bit better from him, really, don't we? And I think they both share an element of responsibility for the goal. 6+.
Raggy, Jimmy Husband replaced by CJ
Terrible.
again.
Jimmy Husband, terrible. Don't know. Not good enough for this team now. He might try and that, but he's not good enough. 4. It's not good enough. There's 4 players. I said it on Saturday. There's 4 players in that team that need to do one. He's one of them.
Who are the others?
Against him personally, he's been good for the club, but he's not good enough to be on that pitch if we want to mount a promotion challenge.
To be fair to obviously he was playing in front of him, but Coulson really did make things happen when he came on. All that CJ was at left back. But yeah, you've got to be gutted to be replaced by CJ at left back, that's for sure. So Nick, you can have CJ. I thought he played quite well, CJ. We digging him out a bit, but he was a threat and made a few things happen when he went to the right as well. So I've seen him play worse, put it that way.
Yeah, well, like I say, I don't think anyone was particularly outstanding. I think it's maybe a bit harsh that on Jimmy, just going back to what Raggy just said. I think, as a defensive unit, we've not done too bad recently. But CJ, yeah, 6.5. I can't really go above that.
It's not harsh, it's standards. Our standards are low.
I don't think anybody had a great game. We came within a minute of losing, so we tend to get carried away with scores when we win. So I think 6.5 is fair.
Did it again?
It's not the system, though, is it, Nick? Come on.
Oh, what the fuck's this 6.5, Nick? Come on.
6.5.
Hang on a minute. Time out. Off he goes. I'll let you back in. Is it just a 6 minus, or 6+, Nick?
6+.
Thank you. Wasn't hard. Timothy, on to you now. Sonny Carey.
Yeah, I thought he did all right. And I'd like it when he's driving to the middle, which I think is a little bit different than what we sometimes get from the 2 midfielders. I don't think he played quite as well as the 2 previous games, that said. But then it was sort of an endemic throughout the team, that I think. I don't think it was just down to him. I think there was a little bit of, it was a bit flat. So I think another 6+.
Certainly was a general malaise out there at the Pirelli Stadium. Raggy, on to Albie Morgan, who was one bright spark in a, how can I describe this? A tepid performance, particularly the first half.
Pitiful performance. They have. He was tremendous, I think. Man of the match. Always tries hardest. Been sold down the river next to Carey rather than having Evans next to him, where he performs at his best. Which shows later on in the game. So 8.
Okay, Rob, up to Nick. There was a message in the comments saying controversial opinion from Mark. Yeah, Mark. Not a popular opinion. Abton needs dropping and Silvera deserves to start. So give us your rating and then just a few thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I did think he had a quiet game. I think Burton, the thing is, when you've done as well as he has done, teams are going to notice. I mean, look at the goal he scored earlier in the season against Burton, so they know what he's about, and they did a bit of a job on him, and maybe he has probably played more than we maybe would have liked, or he would have done if we'd have had more than 2 wingers at the club prior to January. And you can't expect him to be man of the match every week as a winger. You're going to have days where things go to plan and you beat your man, and you're going to have days where it doesn't go to plan. And I think on Saturday generally was one of those. So I think I'll give him a 6, and I probably agree that maybe we've seen some flashes from Silvera in the cameos that that he's had so far. There's a lot of games coming up. Another one tomorrow night. So perhaps
goal and assist last 2 games from Silvera. So
he was worse than Hamilton. Is that what you say?
I don't think, like I say, I don't think anybody did, other than Morgan, really covered themselves in glory, really. So, yeah.
Right, on to the front 2. Tim, Niall Ennis, a bit anonymous in the first half, but I think the majority of the team were.
Yeah, I think the tepid is a good adjective in this context. I think I'm disappointed. I was hoping for a little bit more out of him than we got. Whether we're playing to his strengths, you can question that. But I think he had a chance to get one on target, didn't he, in the first half, and didn't. And then it was sort of, again, it's just all everybody seems to be playing below par. So 6.
Finally, Raggy, I'm quite interested to hear your thoughts on Fletcher. As a player that sometimes you just want to shake by the arms, don't you, to get something out of him. Maybe we need TC to get a tune out of him.
TC couldn't get a tune out of anything, could he? A piano, nothing. So we'll leave him out. They have. I like Fletcher. I like him on the pitch. I think he's a good player. He does sometimes looking down at the ground like he's down and low on confidence. I don't know why he would be low on confidence though. He's been played. He's scored. He's our top scorer. Maybe he reads comments what people say about him. I don't know, but I like him. I think he's got something about him. He clearly works all right with Bloxham. And I think he's always there or thereabouts. I know he sort of fluffs a few things. And did he have a header on Saturday? Am I dreaming that? Did he have a header that was a bit soft? Oh, it doesn't seem to get power. I might have dreamt that bit.
That was CJ, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Hamilton second half. I just thought there was one in the first half where he had a bit of a header to the keeper, but I might be wrong. But anyway, I like him, and I think he's always there, involved one way or the other. Hence why he makes mistakes. But if Hamilton's getting 6.5, we're looking at 9s and 10s for Fletcher, aren't we? But I'll say 7.
You are right. Your dad, David Coleman, Raggy, says for header.
Cheers, David.
Raggy in 25 years says yes. Many apologies, Dave, and David.
Yeah.
Sony not agreeing with you, Raggy. He looks lazy and disinterested.
He looks gutted. I don't think he looks disinterested. He looks down. He'll miss a chance and the head goes straight to the floor looking at his feet while he's walking away. I don't think it's disinterested. Certainly not when you listen to him talking in front of the camera or anything like that. It doesn't seem disinterested. It just seems low. And I know he's mentioned some things in his personal life, and I hope there's nothing too bad for him. That's what's keeping him down. But don't know. I like him. He's our top goal scorer. Remember, people should appreciate him more.
Tim, Mark just said he's got good feet, but no poacher. I'm reading this to you because I don't understand the word. Always looks a bit lugubrious. Is that a word? What does it mean?
Have I got time to Google that?
He's got, yeah.
I think he's done that on purpose.
Tim, just as a very quick aside, when we were listening to the show on the way to Burton, and we heard you say, and he did that with wit. The context was one of our players did something good, and you said, yeah, he did that with wit. And I was like, saying to Ben, I was like, what the fuck's he on about with wit? It wasn't funny. So we looked it up, and it means doing something fantastic and changing a situation or something. You obviously forgotten you said it yourself, but yeah, you did.
I did. You saying I said that? Did you?
Yeah. And I was like, what does Tim mean with wit? Not funny.
It was AI, Tim. It wasn't really.
It was AI. It was a hologram appearing for that show.
Define it. Listen back. This is it. Wit, the capacity for inventive thought and quick understanding. There you go.
Oh, well,
Pleased with that
doesn't
one. I still
apply
have
to
to
this show,
Google. He's got me there, Mark. Proper.
Lugubrious, looking
or
or
sounding sad and
sad
dismal.
and dismal. His face looked even more lugubrious than usual.
Well done, Mark. He should get the horn for that. Could he be the first one in, the first patron in the chat to get the to get Timism in there?
Nick looked more lugubrious than usual when the show went over 60 minutes.
Which is going
It's all right.
to stop fucking waffling.
According to someone in the comments, I look like Alan Brazil. So there you go. Thanks for that.
Try not to get banned and taken off air for your comments about women's football. Oh, yours will be about walking football, not women's football.
Walking football, yeah. Not real football. Walking football.
Right, manager rating. This will be interesting. Steve Bruce came in for a bit of stick from various quarters with his substitutions and some say his team selection. Tim, let's start with you.
Yeah, I don't think. I think it's probably one of those games where it hasn't quite worked out for him, just as much it hasn't quite worked out for some of the players on the pitch. I hear what Raggy says. I stick by him for picking Carey to start. I think obviously Bloxham being out probably. I think one of the players who hasn't been performing on either wing would have dropped out for him if he'd been fit. So I think that he's a bit unfortunate there. But I think as we've talked about before, I think he left the subs a little bit too late. So probably a 6 for me today on Saturday, I think.
Nick, come to you next. We'll save Raggy best till last.
6.
Raggy. Threw the game away.
Oh, he's on me. A quick 6 there. No. Listen, I like Steve Bruce. Trust him completely. So he's made the decisions he's made, hasn't he, for reasons that he knows. And it is good that he does change games. And I think since he's come here, I can see it during games that he's prepared to change it. And
it's annoying, Raggy. It's annoying for me because he does. He's been doing it every single game, but not this one for some reason. It's just
but he changed it too late. But he has at least assembled a bench that can come on and change the game, which we definitely didn't have last season, or maybe even in the earlier part of this season. I now think, we can bring players on to do something. So that's all good, really. So yeah, just an average day at the office, 7.
Okay. Man of the match. It's hard to look beyond Albie Morgan, I think, for this one. Everyone agree?
Albie for me.
Yeah.
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 Same for me.
Okay, we may keep this under an hour, Nick. Not Burton.
12 minutes.
What's that?
12 minutes.
Anyone got anything else to add before we move on to Rotherham preview? Squad depth, perhaps.
Well, I think you lose a couple of players, and particularly losing Bloxham, and all of a sudden we do look a little bit lightweight up front, don't we, with our options? But equally, I think Silvera's shown that he's worthy of a start, and I think Raggy's right. I think we will see Evans back in, so I think we will see it freshened up tomorrow. So it's not like we're without options. It's just perhaps that, and Coulson looked good as well, didn't he? When he came on, we've got some scope to be slightly positive that we've got players who can make a difference, and we've seen that on Saturday, haven't we? When we brought them on, that's probably at least 2 of them now need to start tomorrow, I think.
I don't think Andy Lyons is too far away either, is he? I know it's going to take him a while to get up to match fitness, but he does. Sounds like he's close, and he'll be a welcome addition back once he's fit.
100%.
Good shout. Okay, Rotherham at home tomorrow night. Rearranged from, was it when it was windy, or was the pitch frozen?
I think it was a windy one, if I remember right.
Yeah, the wind one. Cambridge was the frozen pitch, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rotherham They've got a similar dire away record to us. They've won 2. We've won 2. Fatty Evans in charge. What could possibly go wrong? Will that suit our style of play, having a shit Hounsbury team coming to town?
Well, we're definitely a bigger side now than we have been before. So we can definitely mix it and match it with these, which we probably couldn't have done previously. So, yeah, I just want to see us go at it. Like I said before, Lincoln, 20 seconds, Carey was smacking one from 30 yards. Direct at him. I'd like to see it tomorrow, straight from the off, down the wings, get the crowd going. And who knows?
Tim, Nick, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm struggling a bit with what's going on at home at the moment. I just can't see us winning a game. I can't see us winning tomorrow. I hope we do, but I think it's because we haven't seen a home victory for so long. I mean, it was bloody still summer or the last vestiges, wasn't it? When we played Burton, I think we were all in t-shirts and sunglasses on that game. So it seems such a long time ago. It's an incredible run, really. I know we've been a bit unfortunate with a couple of those games, and some of them have been good to watch. But it's just I don't see where the win's coming from at the moment, and that's not, every week I was thinking, if we could probably, you can almost call the draw straight away, couldn't you, for tomorrow?
Yeah, 2-2. It's slightly skewed the home form, though, isn't it, by the fact that we've played so many more away. You have to remember that.
It is, yeah. But at the same time, like Tim says, it's end of September since, we've got that home win. And we need to get it starting tomorrow if there is going to be any chance at all, and it is a very slim chance. I mean, Rotherham aren't having a great season by any stretch of the imagination, are they? So they're beatable, and some of those draws we've had some decent performances. It's not that you're coming out of Bloomfield Road saying, I'm not entertained. Both the Huddersfield and Charlton games were decent. You walked out thinking, well, can't say I've not been entertained and not enjoyed it, but I'd probably take an unenjoyable, scrappy 1-0 where it goes off someone's backside if it just means we get, if we get the 3 points, if not the performance. That's that's where we're at now. So hopefully it'll happen. They're certainly beatable. I think they lost, was it 4-2 at Burton, and then they've beaten Charlton. They lost at home to Shrewsbury on Saturday. So they're no great shakes, but like you say, with the Steve Evans team, there's always they're always physical, and lots of what should we say, game management goes on, doesn't it? So we'll need to be able to mix it up from that point of view as well. But hopefully we can get the 3 points.
Rotherham haven't lost to Blackpool in the last 8 meetings. There's been a bit of a bogey side to Blackpool over the years. Years ago, back in the old stadium, I've never seen us win there, or the new one.
No, Gary Briggs getting sent off there.
That's the one I was thinking of. Nick.
Yeah.
Right, so we've got a few minutes just before we head off. Then let's pick a team. And normally it's been quite boring picking these teams because it's been picking itself. But I think it's time for change with regards to starting 11. So let's go through it from 1 to 11. I think no arguments with Harry Tyrer or the back four, or is there? Is there an argument for sticking Coulson at left back?
If we're going to go for it.
So should we have Casey and Bager in straight away? Obviously, thingy.
Oh yeah.
Where is he? He's there. Oh, I dragged Dom Thompson there. Sorry, Raggy.
I like him. Bring him back. It's good.
Right, yeah. Let's discuss this.
I've played him instead of husband.
Let's talk about this left back position then. Jimmy's probably a better defender, but Coulson offers a bit more going forward. He can overlap, which Jimmy probably can't. Or has this been a bit too harsh on the husband? What We think.
Well, like Tim said, if we're going for it, if we want to go for it and have a right go, and look, it's not last chance lottery yet, is it? But we're not far off. We might as well go for it. Can change him for husband later if we're a goal or two up.
Dave Coleman and MB both saying Coulson, Tony Lawson, Coulson should play at home. I think the general consensus is we should stick him in. Is that agreed?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. I'll be outvoted anyway.
Okay. Into the midfield. This will be interesting.
Well,
there's two centre mids to start with. Obviously, Albie's going straight in. That's not open for debate. So is it Sonny Carey or Evans with him?
A best midfielder at the club.
I think he's going to come back in tomorrow, and I think it's probably on balance, about the right decision. He's had a few games out now, recharged his batteries. He should be looking to really hit the ground running, hopefully.
He can unlock a defence, can't he? He's got great set piece. He's got a shot on him. Creates chances, and he's a match winner. So we're in agreement with Evans going back in then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Nick, onto the wings.
Well, does Silvera get a start? You know, he's looked quite lively in the little cameos we've had. I think somebody said before, possibly, you know, maybe Rob Apter needs a rest. And Bloxham's not back, is he? So it's 2 from 3, isn't it? From CJ, Apter and Silvera.
I'm leaving Apter in personally. I don't know. I think Silvera might be better coming off the bench, although he has done.
Possibly, yeah, quite possibly. You know, it's still early days, isn't it? So.
Alan Dickinson saying put Silvera on the right. I mean, he's, you know, I quite like the way he cuts inside though, coming in off the left. So he seems to be quite effective at doing that.
That's what we're saying then.
I'd personally drop CJ, but you knew that already.
Yeah, Apter and Silvera for me.
Yeah, I'm with that. Nick?
Why not?
I'll have to hack that and change it to not put him in. Schoolboy error. I'll change that in the screenshot. So up front, we've got
Fletcher and Ennis, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Oh, Bees is back, but
I think Beasley's plan B, isn't he? I think he's actually proving quite effective as a plan B as well, I think.
Okay. I haven't got anything there. I'll change that in post-production. Okay, that's the team. And finally, match predictions.
I'm going to go... No, I keep saying this. We've got to win a home game at some point. I'm going to go 2-1.
Tim?
1-1 draw.
1-1 draw, season over.
Season over.
I think this is pretty... Is this a much... It's not a must-win game, but it's a... I think it's a game of more or less.
I think we are at last chance saloon, aren't we? I think.
Raggy's just dropped off. Raggy's dropped off at just the wrong time. 2-1 Rotherham, season over.
Loads of shithousery.
I just think he's got a hold over us, and I think Rotherham have got a hold over us. They always seem to do something else, even on a bit of a low ebb. Yeah, I just think they're going to shithouse the way the victory. What did you say, Nick? Sorry.
2-1 to us.
2-1. What did you say, Tim?
1-1.
1-1. Right. Okay, on that note, we're just on an hour. We've just made it, Nick. Raggy's disappeared, so we'll get his... oh, no, he's back.
The Wheel of Death.
Right, quick, Raggy, just before we go. Match prediction.
2-0 win.
2 Blackpool.
Yeah, we've got to. That's the confidence to win the next 2 after that. We have to win. 2-0.
2-0. There you go. Right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading. Up the pool. Go the pool.
Been involved in 2. Can he make 3? Not on this occasion. Well taken by Walsh. Davis is on the far side. Ainscough coming square. That's the ball.